The challenge is a lot of people go into the POS business without first answering these four stops. Number one, question to ask. Number two, things to get. Number three, startup capital. And number four, which is the most important part, management and growth. And this is why a lot of people find the business as though it's not lucrative. The business is actually a very lucrative business. My name is Olukotu Samuel Lamide, and I'm a BRM for Moniepoint. And on this YouTube channel, we've been able to solve over 1 million issues, and I've been able to train over 100,000 people on how to solve issues and how to grow their POS business. On today's topic, we'll be treating how to start up a POS business. And this is not just for beginners, right? Even intermediate and professional POS users. All right. So the first thing we'll be treating here is questions to ask. Now, a lot of people get into the POS business, they do not ask questions. So it's 1 month into the business, and now it's now time to ask questions. And sometimes it's not totally too late, but then it can be better if you do these 4 things before you get into the POS business. So what are the questions to ask? Number 1, we talk about aim. Why are you going into the business? What is your target? All right. Do you want to pay house rent in the next 2 months and you feel like the business that can help you generate this revenue is the POS business, so you want to venture into POS business? All right. So what is your aim? Number 2. All right. So in this business, if I should ask you, how do you generate revenue in the POS business? Can you answer that question? What are the sources of revenue that are available in the POS business? So these are the questions you should ask. Number 1, you should know you are getting revenue from your charges. I will still be treating this part in this number 3, from your charges, right? And also, this is very rare. A lot of people don't know this partnership. A lot of people don't know this number 2. I will still be treating number 2 when I'm dealing with this number 3. All right. So what is your aim? Number 2, what are the source of income available in the POS business you want to go into, right? Number 3 talks about kind of POS. All right. So I will treat this number 3 when we get to number 2 properly. All right. So these are the questions you should ask. The aim, your source of revenue in the business. Number 2. Number 3, under number 1, which is the kind of POS you want to be getting, right, guys? So please, in case you're watching this video for the first time, please make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can drop your questions on the comment section, and also remember to like this video. You are doing us good when you like this video. And for those that are supporting our YouTube channel, you can be a support by clicking on the support button where you regularly pay some few amounts to support the channel. All right, so number 2, we are number 2. Number 2, what are the things you have to get, right, guys? The things to get before going into the POS business. Number 1 thing you have to get is a location. I know a lot of people will find this contradictory. Why are you talking about location? You should talk about POS first. No, you should get a stable location first before considering getting a POS, right? Because your location is going to determine how much you'll be making, right, guys? Your location is going to determine longevity, how long you will stay in the business, right? I will still be explaining this when we get to number 4. This is very important, guys. It's very, very important. It's one of the key factors that determines how successful you'll be in the business. Number 2, you want to determine staff, right? So don't place POS number 3. All right, POS is going to come here, guys. This is what a lot of people do. They make this number 1, then they switch it the other way around. That's why they struggle at startup, right? So get a location, get a very good location. So what determines the kind of location you'll be getting? We'll be treating that here. Get a good location, because your location is going to determine how much you'll be making, guys. Get a staff, train staff, right? If you don't get this before you get into the business and you just feel like getting a staff is not anything, I can get anybody, I can tell you that this is going to determine, it's going to be a determinant factor, right? Because when you don't get staff that are trained, they will mismanage your business, they will lose your money. And you have to understand that some customers are about looking for staff that are not trained so that they can dupe them, right? So I know customers like that, and I've made a lot of videos on how to counter those stuff. So make sure your staffs are trained already before you even get them into the business, right? Then you get a POS. So type of POS you'll be getting, we'll be dealing that here with startup capital. So getting a POS will be determining how much do you have as a startup capital. There are a lot of terminals you can get. There's the POS, right? There's the traditional. There's the Android version. All right. So guys, there are a lot of terminals you can get, but we'll be treating that here. So things to get, right? So you want to get the location, you want to get the staff, you want to get a POS. Before you get a POS, consider these 3, right, guys? So let's go to the 3rd one, to the startup capital. All right, this is where the old gist is going to get interesting, guys. Very, very interesting. Now, startup capital, what is going to determine the startup capital? A lot of people ask me these questions. How much can I start up with? All right. So what is going to determine how much you're starting up with? Number one is your location. Number two is your target, right, guys? You see, this location and target determines how much you're starting up with. I can't tell you guys that you should start up with a capital of 100K, right? I can't tell you to start up with a capital of 200K. Neither can I tell you to start up with a capital of 500K or 1 million, right, guys? So your location is going to decide this for you. So your location, for instance, if you're in a student environment, you should know if you are running on 100,000, it's going to be very fair for you. It's going to be okay, right? Because you're in a location where majority of the people coming to do transaction are students. So maximum, maybe at the end of the month, maybe getting people withdrawing 5,000, 10,000. But let's assume you are in a market location, a very busy location, a business-oriented location. Even if you have 500K, guys, you may not still be able to survive in that location. So what are we advised in this wise is that your startup capital, if you have a capital below this, guys, below 200K, make sure you are not in a very, okay, a lot of people will find this contradictory because it's almost like I'm telling you to leave the place where you are doing a lot of transactions to student area. Yes, remember, your transaction is not in volume, your transaction is in count. As a POS owner, your transaction is not, I did 200,000 today. No, that's not your transaction. That's not where your profit is coming. Your profit is coming is from how many counts could this 200,000 achieve for you. So if you're in a busy location, somebody can just come, two people can come and withdraw this 200,000. And trust me, guys, how much do you want to charge them? Maybe you charge them maybe 800 or 700. I don't know, depending on your location, right? So, but then imagine you're in a student environment, right, where you have, out of these guys, if you divide this by 10, guys, do you know how much? Can you see this, guys? That's if they are withdrawing 10,000. That means you have a volume of 20 transactions to do. So imagine you are now charging 200 per this. Are you seeing the multiplying effect, guys? So this should be determined by either is the student environment. So your capital should decide that. So I believe I've explained enough. So your target, how much do you want to be making, also is a key factor. So let's assume you want to start up a POS business and you feel like, let me be making 30,000 at the end of this, at the end of the month from this business. And that means you should be able to start up with a capital of around 200K. But imagine you want to be making 100,000 monthly and you're starting up with 100K. You know, it doesn't work, right? So your target is going to decide startup capital. Then another thing is, how long do you want to stay? How long do you want to stay in the business? Do you want to stay in the business for a very long time? Because if you are not staying in the business for a very long time, startup capital, using a huge amount of volume may not be necessary, right? So another thing you want to decide, which is similar to this location, is productivity, right? How productive the money you are putting into the business, how productive is the money? That means if you have 200K, let's assume you drop 200K in a location and it's going to take them 1 week to exhaust that 200K. Definitely, you know, it is a risk even putting the money there, right? Because a lot of stuff can happen. You guys should be aware of that, right? So I believe 1, 2, 3 is very important, and like I said, this number 4 is the most important part. So by now you must have been having questions. Drop them on the comment section. By now you must have subscribed to this YouTube channel and also like this video. All right, so let's get started to the last and most important part. All right, guys, so for this last part, we'll divide it into two. So we have management and we have growth. All right, so for this part, I'm going to make reference to an app called Easybalance. Easybalance. Can you see this, guys? So you can go on Play Store and search the app, Easybalance app. Now, if you're a POS user and you don't have this app, I can guarantee you guys from experience, you're making a very big mistake, especially when you intend to have more than one locations, right? This app is able to balance your transaction for you, the money at hand and the money inside the terminal. So beneath this video, you see a link that is going to refer you to the app. Please download the app, sign up. They are going to contact you immediately you sign up. They will reach out to you and put you through the process on how to go about using the app. Now, let's get started. After this, management is all about, number one, structure. Can you see this, guys? We are dealing with structure, we are dealing with presence, we are dealing with strategy. Now, what do I mean by structure? Now, let's assume you are doing the POS business and you have to be always there to make sure your business is going well. You don't have a structure. It means your structure level is 0. The business should be able to continue when you are not there. That's why I'm even referring you to this app, right? So your structure, you should put a structure in place that makes your staff accountable for their transaction. You should be able to let them know that you are sure of how you can balance the transaction volume, right? So the structure should be there. Number two, your presence. Now, what do I mean by your presence now? Your presence is similar to the structure, but then your presence is talking more on your productivity in the market. Now, that means if you stay in an environment, let's assume we have 5 POS guys, and you are competing with 5 POS guys. How does this influence this and you become the best among them, right? That's what presence means, right? So you are not just there for their sake. So this is going to be answered by this now, strategy. Now, I saw a very short clip of which I want to share to you guys, especially when you're a POS user. There was a guy that was not supposed to open a shop. So what he just did is that he knows he's going to be closing a shop for the next 2 months. So he just placed a small banner that I will not be available now till next 2 months. Can you see this, guys? This is a very strategic stuff. Some people will just close their location. And one thing you have to understand as a POS user is that into the business, when you close a location for a very long time, you've discouraged the people. You've discouraged the people. Nobody wants to be coming to a place and doing transaction when they are not certain if this person will be there. You can trust me, guys. There are a lot of people that are doing transaction with you not because it is cheaper, but because it is safe. They know that once they're having issues, they can still come back to you, right? But when you are not stable in your location, people will not find you to be safe to do business with, right? So and it's going to affect your strategy, right? So today you can have 10, tomorrow you're having 5, and next tomorrow your business is up and down. So I believe by this I've been able to solve this question on how to start a POS business. But it's many one thing, if you can still remember, guys, of which I said I was going to keep for this period, is the POS. POS growth, right, guys? I will still be making a video on this because it's a very complex topic. Now, the type of POS, like I said earlier, we have the POS, we have the Android, and we have the traditional, right? So if you have a capital that is below 100,000 naira, I will advise you to go for the POS, right? Why? Because the POS has a weekly target of 20K. If you have a capital of around 100 to 200, 100 above, you can go for the Android/traditional. Why? Because it has a target of 140K. This is very simple, guys, to understand. So I will always advise you to go for the Moniepoint POS, because the Moniepoint POS is still the best with charges, with customer care and support line. So I believe you're enjoying this video. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers, guys. God bless.